Alright, so for this trap you'll need a bottle, a water bottle or soda bottle. You'll need some sort of fruit that's starting to go bad. I have here a peach. You will also need some string, and you'll need some tape. Alright, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and take the lid off of the bottle and let's cut the top off. Oh, maybe not with a knife. Yeah, let's stick with the scissors for this. So go ahead and cut the lid off right at the stem of the bottle. Snip, 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 snip. Alright, and once that comes off, you should be able to just set it right on top of the bottle like that. So take your peach or fruit, cut some small pieces off. We don't need big pieces, we need just enough in there. So chop it up and go ahead and put one piece per trap. Alright, once that's done, go ahead and tape those lids on in an inverted way so it's forming a funnel. Make sure you get tape all around the edge so it's nice and tight. And then go ahead and measure out some string. It's going to go down one side of the bottle, around the bottom, up to the side. And you'll need some space to tie it onto something. So once you've measured it out, go ahead and lay your string across the bottom of the bottle in an X. There's one piece, two pieces, and go ahead and tape that on. And be smarter than the tape. There we go. Now that you have it on the bottom, now take two strands and tape them together on the side. Go for the other side. And now you can flip it back over and you're ready to hang this up outside. Look how nice it swings. Ready to trap some bugs.
And another little beetle there on this peach. So really quick, how this trap works is I inverted the lid so it's a funnel. So it's a big, nice wide opening for the bug to get in. Once it's in, to get out. Now it's a small opening, and as it's flying upward, it's actually going to come up and get stuck up in the corner and come back down. They can sometimes fly out through the hole, but most of the time they are just stuck in here. Second trap, there are, looks like a few beetles on the peach. Success.
Okay, so I have the bugs from the trap. So I'm going to take just any sort of container. It can be a little bowl, Tupperware. So I have them in alcohol. So I'm just going to dump them in. Got a few stragglers. Alright, let's just shake those out. Okay, so we don't want to pin them wet, and these small ones are going to be point mounting, and so we do not want those wet either. So I have a tissue here. I'm just going to pin it down to the styrofoam so I don't flip it over. And I'm going to pull the bugs out and let them start drying on that. And I'm also going to take just some Elmer's glue and pour a little bit out onto this other tissue and let that kind of start drying. I don't like to point mount the small insects while the glue's super runny. So we'll just get a little bit out. You don't need much. Okay. So here, also I'm using what are called featherweight forceps. So they're really thin, flexible, so if we look at my finger, as I close the forceps, that spring they kind of give. And these are really useful for picking up small bugs because it's a lot harder to squish them. I can just pinch, and you can see I have some flex in the forceps. I'm not crushing the bug. So let's just take all these out. one fruit fly. Now flies, it's not great to put them in alcohol, but it'll do. Okay, so those guys are dry now. I'll go ahead and I'll pin this longhorn beetle first, because it's okay if it's a little wet still. So I have my temporary label. So I have the dates that the trap was out, so month, day, year, location, and then just for my own notes, it was a funnel trap and used peach as bait. So I'll stick this up here. So we have it with our bugs. I'm just using a size 3 insect pen. So grab the beetle. Let's see if you can see it here. So beetles, we have the head, the first portion of the thorax, and then the wing casing is attached to the second part, and that's exactly where we want to pin. So we're just going to come in on the right side, go in, I'm just going to turn it, make sure that I'm level from all sides. Just go the rest of the way through. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer you can get it, the better. Alright, so now I'm just going to stick the pin through. Now if I pull this out really quick, and this is a little more space on the top than I'd like, but I only have single layer styrofoam right now, and I'm hitting the table, so I can't go any further. So that's just gonna have to do. So let's add a few brace pins. Make sure the wings don't pop out. Now it's a longhorn beetle, so it has these nice long antennae. Let's just tuck those legs in a little bit more. And there we have it. So we also have one other beetle that it's getting down to the size where we could point mount it. It's a little big for point mounting, maybe a little small for pinning. I'm going to go ahead and pin it anyway. But this is about the smallest I would go for pinning. So take the pin, same as before, we go in and we can see that there's kind of a big gap here. It's a little loose, so we're going to be careful not to break off that front part of the beetle. Alright, that's not quite straight. Sometimes we don't get the pinning quite right. Now this guy just needs a couple brace pins. Beetles, you always want to get the brace pins because the elytra, those wing casings, those can kind of drift apart as the bug dries. So make sure you always get those pins in. Okay, so now we're ready for the small bugs. Let's see if I can show you. So they've been here drying. Now the point mount, we're going to take an insect pen and we're going to add a little paper triangle. So here's a triangle. Now there are hole punches to punch these out, but I looked them up and they're somewhere between $50 and $70 a piece. I punched mine out at the museum I used to work at before I left. I just went in with some of my own, I think this is just cardstock. If you aren't able to find an entomologist with the hole punch, you can just cut out little paper triangles. They don't need to be exact. So the pin, we're going to pin the paper back at this side. So I'm not going to do that onto my finger. Alright, so we have our pin, we have our point. I'm going to grab my forceps and just bend that corner down a little bit. Actually, let me grab Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. So just the corner. So you can see it's not a pointy sticking out. We have a little flat area to put the bug on. Now, depending on the bug, you can leave the point sticking out. You can adjust the angle. We just need a little surface for the bug to go on. And again, I'd say there's a little too much space here, but since I just have the single layer of styrofoam, that's as far down as I can pin. So after I unpin these, I can't slide the beetle back up, but I can slide this paper, the point, up a little bit. So I'm going to point mount on the right side of the bug at the same place where I would pin it. I'm just going to get a little bit of glue. You don't need a lot. Probably can't even see it very well, but there's just a tiny dab. And I'm just going to scoop up the bug, and there we go. So you want to be careful they don't cover up too much underneath, and they don't get a huge glob of glue. Now the bugs are symmetrical, so as long as you got that other side of the bug visible, it should be okay. So I'll just slide it off a little bit, turn it. Now I don't know why, but I like to stick these in at an angle. But there's nothing special about that. And just a couple brace pins. Hold it in place while the glue dries, and that's that.